Shout out to Cats Pawd.
A big defensive play for Montana State.
Touchdown, Tommy Milan is electrifying.
Welcome to the Cats Pod. What's up, Podcats? Huge week this week. Huge game coming up. Biggest game of the season by far. Great, honestly. Pretty decent slate of games outside of this huge game. How you feeling about it, Eric?
I'm feeling good, man. I can hardly wait.
Yep.
I can hardly wait for this. All I know is that for the Bobcats, this is just another Saturday.
It's just another Saturday. They're not going to treat it like it's the Big Sky Conference Championship.
They're going into this game 0-0, just like they do every week.
1-0 every week. That's the mentality.
You know, I really feel like they're so used to having a target on their back that what's the difference here?
No, it's still UC Davis's Super Bowl, like we've talked about with every single other team, and it's still 1-0 for the Cats.
Yeah.
Not taking anything in the past for granted, not taking the other team lightly whatsoever, just showing up to play some football.
Now, for us fans, on the other hand,
it's huge.
This is stressful.
It's very stressful. It's a tough week. It's a tough week. Stressful one.
Having to wait all the way till Saturday for this is absolutely debilitating.
Yeah, it has been a long ass week, and it's Thursday now, so that feels good. Like we're almost there.
Yeah. Let's just really quick blaze through last week's games. Let's just get this out of the way. There's not a lot to talk about here. Not a huge amount to talk about. No.
Yeah,
we'll steal one from Chris Berman's quickest 2 minutes, right?
Quickest 2 minutes right here. Whoop. We're gonna be doing pardon my take.
I was gonna say like Ben Sexlife.
Very funny. Yeah.
Sorry, I couldn't help myself.
I get it.
I threw myself that softball. I couldn't help but swing.
Yeah. You gotta, when you tee yourself up, you gotta go for it.
Yeah. First off, I'll let you take this one, Ben. It's Eastern Washington 43, Northern Colorado 15.
Yeah, this is pretty standard score for the Northern Colorado Bears. Put up 15 points on a defense that's been like Swiss cheese all season, so I don't think that's even good, you know.
Yeah.
And Eastern Washington did what Eastern Washington does and put up over 40 points, you know.
Yep.
Pretty standard.
That's pretty much I like your analysis on this one.
Mm-hmm.
Northern Colorado could do nothing.
By this point in the season, the teams have kind of made themselves known of what they are.
Yeah,
you know,
I completely agree.
Very little mystery.
You summed it up perfectly. Eastern Washington does what Eastern Washington does. They're gonna score points, and Northern Colorado cannot. So, next up we have Idaho State at Weber State, and this was actually. I mean, I wish I kind of would have tuned in a little bit, but can we say that Weber State is worse than Northern Colorado at this point?
I don't think they're worse than Northern Colorado. It's tough. They lost to Northern Colorado, and they've lost to pretty much everybody else too, right? They've won. Have they only won 2 games this season?
Not very many.
I can't think of anything right now. The beginning of the season, I feel like they were winning some games, so they might have 3 or 4 wins on the season. But at this point, Weber State is looking not impressive at all. Idaho State, this is a good win for them at the point they are in the Big Sky Conference.
Yeah,
they need to beat teams like Weber State on a consistent basis. Idaho State teams of the past, this would have been a toss-up for them. But this year, it feels like a game they should win, and they took care of business and did it. So,
yeah, Idaho State. I mean, we watched them play the Cats, and you know, there's a lot of try in those guys.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm glad to see that it's coming true in some of these games for them.
Yep.
but I think you're exactly right. This is probably something you'd expect them to do.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Beat a terrible Weber State team. I think you'd expect that at this point. Idaho State's definitely moving up in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Idaho barely holds off Portland State.
Mm-hmm.
39-30.
This is, I mean, it's an interesting ending score, but we know Portland State has the type of offense where they can put up a lot of points. And Idaho, I mean, this must mean that their offense was doing pretty well if they put up 38 in this game. They must be feeling a little bit better. I think Jack Wagner played a majority of this game.
Yeah, he played the whole thing.
He played the whole thing. I couldn't remember if they had the other quarterback coming back for a little bit and then Jack Wagner came back in.
Yeah, no, it was just him. And no, the Idaho offense did well. They had an extremely strong running game in this one.
Mm-hmm.
I think the reason they won is Chachere did not rush for very much.
Okay, so they held that part in contain at least. Kept it to the passing game.
Yeah, he still threw for 180 yards and 2 touchdowns, but he only rushed for 25 yards. So they kind of held him in check a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, they still let Portland State put up 30 points on him.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't do that.
It's not a great look.
No. Yeah. But Idaho wins, and I get they took care of business against a Portland State team that has shown they can be super frisky.
Oh yeah.
They like to cop a feel sometimes.
They like to cop a feel every once in a while. You're on fire today, Eric. You're just on fire right now. I can tell. I can tell.
I'm trying to get through this with as many nasty jokes as I can because I have a rant to go on. So.
Okay, yeah. You're being jovial right now, and then later on, the fire's coming. Watch out, the fire's coming.
We're gonna get down to business here in a little bit.
Getting down to business.
The final game of the Big Sky schedule was Northern Arizona at Cal Poly, and Northern Arizona beat them.
Yep, beat them down pretty badly. 31-14, and that's what we have come to expect from Northern Arizona. Like I said at the beginning of this, the Big Sky Conference has made themselves known. We know which teams should be winning these games. We know which teams should be losing these games. I don't see a ton of surprises coming for the rest of the season, but who knows? It's always conference play.
I am currently looking up the Northern Arizona football schedule. Because I need to know if they can score more than 31 points. Because I feel like that's what they score every week.
It could be. It seems like it's always right around there.
It seems like that's kind of their limit, I guess. Like they score 31 points and then they're done. So this week 31, last week 27, week before that 30. Week before that, 20. Week before that, 17, 34. So, yeah, they cannot score more than 31 points. That's just a fact.
That's not terrible. And they have a pretty solid defense. So 31 points should get it done for them in most games in their tier.
So, if you play Northern Arizona, you just have to score more than 31.
Yep, that's all it is. Stop Land Larison. Score more than 31 points against Northern Arizona. We should be coaching in this league. We just know all the keys.
I lied to you that their D2 win over Lincoln, California was 66-6. So.
Oh yeah, that gem at the beginning of the season that we got to try and talk about. Oh, that was a beauty.
So
I think that was Lincoln High School. I'm pretty sure that's probably the joke I made at the beginning of the season as well.
That's exactly the joke you made at the beginning.
Yep.
Yeah. Not a lot of really good games this last week, except for UC Davis and Montana.
Which I think we both firmly picked UC Davis in this game, but I don't know about you, but I did not see it being this lopsided of a score.
Especially when the Grizzlies were ahead, and I think it was the third quarter.
Yep.
And UC Davis figured them out.
Oh, yeah.
Bobby Hauck does what Bobby Hauck does and pulls Fife in place of Ayat, and it just unraveled.
I'm just so glad that it's not just us who doesn't understand how he's coaching quarterbacks this season. How all the fans, all the press are like, what is going on?
It doesn't make any sense why he's playing quarterbacks in these specific situations.
Mm-hmm.
All I know is that, I mean, we watched the game. Fife was kind of dealing. I mean, he wasn't blowing anything up, but he wasn't making mistakes.
No. But
they still pulled him. It's a bit confusing, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm. It definitely is. It's something that you, as Hauck made very clear in his conference, you can't even ask about it. Yeah, he doesn't even care.
Yeah,
could tell. Limit. We could tell, Bobby. We could tell you don't care.
Yeah, I think the main thing in this to me was that the Montana offensive line, which I'm not saying has looked great,
mm-hmm.
they did not do well in this game. They could not run the ball at all. Eli Gilman, the supposed second coming of running backs here,
mm-hmm.
did nothing.
No. I don't see like what has happened with Eli Gilman to where there's been such a drop-off this season. I haven't watched the games closely enough to understand it. I gotta think that their offensive line has something to do with it.
Yeah, man, I don't know. I the only bright spot, in my opinion, for the Grizzlies here is that Junior Bergen does Junior Bergen things. He had a nice day, 6 receptions for 92 yards and a touchdown.
And they always have a player that could score a touchdown pretty much at any point in the game.
Yeah. And, I don't know. I feel like the Grizzlies have lost their way a little bit. The defense,
mm-hmm.
they've always been such a strong defense. But this year, we have not seen that.
No.
We haven't seen a single game other than terrible teams.
Mm-hmm.
Where their defense has been able to hold anybody.
Yep. It's been an interesting season for them. I still got to think that they're Montana at the end of the day, and I can't take them lightly ever. But at the same time, it's like they keep giving me evidence to take them lightly.
No, that's exactly right. And UC Davis gave them plenty of free yards. I think they had 6 false starts and several delay of games. I mean, let's call a spade here. The Grizzly crowd did their job. The Grizzly team failed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you get gifted that many yards because your crowd shows up for you and you still lose the game?
Yeah, and it's not a good game. Like, at the end, it seemed like there was a point where the team gave up a little bit, at least.
Yeah, I mean, being totally honest, halfway through that third quarter, UC Davis just put their foot on their throat, and they didn't let up.
No, not at all.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting.
It's interesting.
Let's say that.
It's interesting.
I'm still not sold on UC Davis. This is their best win by a substantial margin. I know they played Idaho. They still let Idaho beat them up a little bit. This was UC Davis's best win, and still was. I don't know if I'd call the Grizzlies a great win at this point. They have issues, and I think the main issue is their head coach right now.
Yeah. But the major thing for UC Davis is just that you're supposed to win these games, and then they went out and did it. So, they are in that caliber of teams, and they did prove that definitively with this win.
Yeah. And if I can't remember exactly, but I'm pretty sure UC Davis was the underdog in this one.
Oh, when you're playing at Montana, I feel like it's very hard not to be the underdog.
Yeah. So, a really good win for UC Davis. They definitely deserve that number 4 ranking after that one.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like this should just segue us into my rant, right?
Okay, we can go for it.
So we got a tip that we needed to listen to a certain Aggie fan podcast, a UC Davis podcast.
Yep.
And, for the most part, these guys were somewhat rational, but they said a couple things that just didn't sit right with me, if we're being totally honest.
Yeah.
Number one, the first and foremost thing, they bring up McCade O'Reilly and they said he had a hipster name. McCade O'Reilly is an awesome name, and you guys are jealous.
You think McCade O'Reilly is a hipster name? Like, I guess if he had a handlebar mustache, I could see the name fitting. But it is a much tougher name than the hipster crowd.
In my experience, a hipster name is something like cardboard or
like Blue Ivy.
Yes.
Like Elon Musk naming his kid X12 some sign that it can't be pronounced.
That's exactly right. That would be a hipster name.
I consider those millennial names.
Something that's just just ridiculously creative. I shouldn't say creative.
Ridiculously unorthodox.
Yes.
Just like, why are you doing this? You just want attention?
I'm just looking at things around the room, and I'm seeing armchair, door. Just naming your kid household things.
Okay. This is my kid Blender over here.
Yeah. Keep my linebacker's name out of your mouth.
Keep it out of your mouth. We're coming out. Hey, we don't need to come after him. Yeah. McCade O'Reilly is very obviously Irish. He can handle his business.
The next thing that absolutely drives me crazy, and this is the actual rant.
Yeah.
They say that their schedule has better prepared them for Montana State than our schedule has prepared us for UC Davis. So that made me go look at the schedules, and they're the same. They are the same.
They didn't even look at the schedules.
There's like 5 common games.
Yeah.
Including Utah Tech. And you know what's common about all of these games, Ben?
We beat them by more.
Way more. And you know what else is common? The opposing team didn't score as much.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
our
ridiculous.
Defense performed better and our offense performed better against all these same teams. The only teams that are not similar, I believe, are Weber State, Cal Poly, and Southern Utah.
No, they didn't play Weber State. It's Montana.
Oh, Montana. Yeah.
They played Montana, and they almost lost to Southern Utah, dude. That Southern Utah running back carved them up.
Mm-hmm. He is the number 1 ranked running back on, is it Stats Perform or the other one?
No, he
Pro
is
Football Focus.
Guess who's number 2?
Oh, we know. We know who's number 2. One play Scottrey. The dude.
Yeah.
Of course. And that is ridiculous as well. Like, if Scottrey was not sharing the backfield with 3 other guys, how many yards would Scottrey have this year?
That's exactly right. He would be the number 1 back if he didn't have to share the backfield with a bunch of other super talented guys.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like I'm being really unfair by saying this, but I know you're going to agree with me. A lot of other guys in that backfield, if they got the usage that Southern Utah's back is getting, they would have just as many yards, if not more. If Adam 100%. Jones was a down-for-down back, he would have the most yards in the conference, most yards in the country probably.
So, continuing back with the rant here, they claim that their schedule prepared them better, which doesn't make any sense at all after what Montana State just did to Sacramento State. I mean, let's be totally honest. You beat Montana by 16 points.
Mm-hmm.
We beat Sac State by 42.
Yeah.
We had 511 yards of rushing. It doesn't matter. You don't see that every day.
No, not at all.
That is very uncommon. And all I'm saying is that a team can't pick their schedule.
No.
It's scheduled so far in advance that all you can do is deal with what you get. And on top of this, we were supposed to have a Stephen F. Austin team on this schedule that bailed like a bunch of pansies. That right now would be a ranked win.
Yeah. And I think we also need to, I've got a spin zone for this whole schedule thing. It's not that the Cats haven't been tested this year. It's that they've passed every test so badly that they think they haven't been tested this year.
Well, it's like Portland State, for example. Portland State puts up points against everybody. Portland State just dropped 30 against Idaho. A top 10 team in Idaho. They dropped 30 on them. We absolutely embarrassed Portland State. Like
and
this
Idaho. Both sides of that game we embarrassed this season.
The fact of the matter is this UC Davis Aggie podcast, they're making a massive deal out of this game because this is the biggest game they will ever be in.
It's the biggest game in their history. They have to make a big deal out of it.
They do.
If we were in the same situation, we'd be making a huge deal out of it as well. But at the same time, when you come in with arguments that are unrealistic, it doesn't even matter.
Right. It's this whole schedule thing is so obnoxious. I'm so sick and tired of it. And maybe I'll eat my words.
Who knows?
But I don't see a path that UC Davis has to beat the Cats. Maybe I'll eat my words. We are
not unfamiliar with the taste of our own words.
No.
We are not unfamiliar with it. We've had to eat them many times in the past, but is that going to stop us from speaking our truth? No. We're going to keep talking about it.
The fact of the matter is the Cats have had a target on their back since they beat New Mexico. Everybody likes to claim that wasn't a good win because New Mexico is supposed to be bad, except for they keep winning games, so it doesn't make any sense. But the target has been on their back since then. And all they keep doing is doing what they're supposed to do.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm so sick of this schedule bull crap.
This horse pucky.
This schedule horse pucky.
The scheduled horse pucky that we have to deal with every single week. I put it on my calendar. It's like 11:30 every Tuesday. Time for Ben to deal with the horse pucky, the weekly horse pucky.
I mean, the fact of the matter is the Cat starters have played a grand total of 2 total games before the starters come out.
Yeah.
All season long.
Yeah.
I mean, this
fresh.
This is big. I mean, we're talking about Big Sky play. Like, the competition is real. And the starters still don't have to play a full game. Like, this is the schedule talk is insanity. They're beating the brakes off these guys. They're boat racing everybody. How much more of this crap are we going to have to take? And I'm sure.
Only a couple more weeks of it, Eric. Don't you worry.
I'm tired of it, man. And thank God we have a chance to shut the haters up. And I can only imagine what the Cat players feel like. Yeah. Because all they have to hear is they're frauds because they don't play anybody. It's such disrespect.
Yeah.
Like, if that doesn't put a chip on your shoulder, what will? And thank you to the entire universe for hating on us and calling us frauds with a soft schedule, because all you're doing is fueling these guys.
They don't take teams lightly because everybody every single week, not everybody, a lot of people every single week are always discounting the Bobcats. They're trying to put them on sale. Yeah,
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter which fan base they are. North Dakota State fans, oh, we're so good because the Cats have a soft schedule. Oh, Grizzly fans, oh, the Cats had a soft schedule and we didn't.
Yeah.
It's like, you who are the real frauds here, Grizzlies? Come on.
Who the frauds? Where are they at?
Who the frauds?
Who the frauds?
Yeah, okay, I'm done ranting.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I know I just blew everybody's eardrums out complaining about schedules, but it needed to be said in that way.
Yeah. Needed to take the time for it.
Should we move on to the games now?
Yeah, we can move on to the games for sure.
I feel like I've hopefully got everybody amped up enough for this game that
if they weren't amped up before we started talking, they shouldn't be watching this game at all.
That's true. That's very true. That's fair. Super fair.
Fair.
First up, we have Northern Arizona at Northern Colorado. Ben, this one's all you, man.
Northern Arizona and Northern Colorado, the battle for the North, the king of the North. Okay. I'm having a hard time. I'm having a really hard time being positive about my Northern Colorado Bears. Having a real hard time. And they're going up against the Lumberjacks. And it's a blue and gold on blue and gold matchup. So, as a simple person, this is very hard for me to pick. They have the same team colors. So, is there really any difference between them? The Lumberjacks are playing very good football. I would definitely say that the Lumberjacks are going to win this game.
Yeah, that was so inspiring, Ben. I can't wait to pick Northern Arizona right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is absolutely no reason I would ever pick Northern Colorado, and honestly, Northern Arizona is sniffing up the playoffs right now.
Yep.
So all they have to do is keep winning, and I think they'll do that. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Northern Arizona sneaker in.
So, speaking of sniffing, they do have to play this game in Colorado.
Yeah.
And it do be stinky. It do be stinky.
It's a little
there.
stinky.
It's a little stinky. So
maybe the cows are farting a little extra today.
Yeah, a little extra methane going out of them cows, really makes it hard to breathe down there, apparently. So the X factor goes for Northern Colorado.
Yeah,
and that is the doo-doo.
Okay, it took you too long to come up with that X factor. I'm still going with Northern Arizona.
Yeah, that's all right. I'm going with Northern Arizona as well. The Lumberjacks have given me no reason to pick against them. Have a little bit of a soft spot in my heart from Northern Arizona last year because they're playing good football and then they got beat down. But this year, like you said, they could get their opportunity to get into the playoffs.
Sorry, Northern Colorado listeners. Ben has abandoned ship officially.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
He's so tired of being wrong.
Tell me how disappointed you are in the comments, and I may jump back onto Northern Colorado's train if I find out that there is an actual fan base there that was supporting me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Big fan base. Real big fan base.
Huge fan base.
Next up, we have Idaho State at Eastern Washington. This is probably going to be a good one.
It very well could be. This is a very good matchup. Two teams that have shown really good things throughout the season.
Yeah.
And like we've said before, like you said before, Idaho State, very frisky team. A lot of fight in them. I still can't point out a single player on that team.
No.
I couldn't tell you the name of anybody on Idaho State.
They don't really have a signature player, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
But they're a 5-5 team going up against a 3-7 team. But Eastern Washington at 3-7 is maybe the best 3-7 team there is, if we're being totally honest here. I'm pretty sure Eastern Washington's going to... I don't think that Idaho State can run with these guys when they start scoring. And Eastern Washington scores points.
Yeah, they do put up a lot of points. Idaho State's defense would have to have a spectacular game to make anything happen in this. This would be a huge game for Idaho State to prove something in, though. It is a great opportunity for them, because if they could pull off a win in Cheney, like, that would be huge for them going into the future. That would be a statement that we belong near that top tier, that we're coming up, that we are not going to be bottom dwellers anymore.
Yeah. And now that I say that, I'm looking back at their last 5 games, and there's not a lot of inspiration here for Idaho State. They beat Weber State. They beat Sac State, but had to go to overtime. Lost to Northern Arizona. Lost to Portland State, and beat Cal Poly. But they only beat Cal Poly 41-38. Eastern Washington's a better team than that.
Oh yeah.
So I feel pretty comfortable in saying that. I mean, Eastern Washington had a 3-game stretch of UC Davis, Idaho, and Montana State.
Yeah.
And they did score a lot of points. They put up 38 against UC Davis. They put up 28 against Idaho. They put up 28 against Montana State.
They have played a lot of tough teams.
But they also gave up a lot of points in those games. All 3 L's, but I feel like Eastern Washington is going to probably put up somewhere in the 40s on Idaho State, and I feel like Eastern Washington will win that one.
This is one where I feel like I have to pick with my heart instead of my head. My head is saying that Eastern Washington is going to win this game, but deep down I really want Idaho State to win this game. So this may be a mistake, but I'm going to take Idaho State this week. I'm going to take the Bengals, and I'm really hoping they can prove something, even though they're playing on that terrible red field, so I probably won't be watching a single second of this game.
Yeah. 1 second of that red field is too much for me.
Too much.
For sure. Next up, we have, I feel like this is almost a toilet bowl at this point. Sac State at Cal Poly.
It's close. It is very close.
That's a terrible game.
It's a bad matchup in which I don't want to watch either of these teams play.
I don't even know what to say about this game, if I'm being totally honest with you. I mean, what happened in the Sac State game last weekend was a total obliteration on all fronts, and I find like I just have a hard time believing that you can come back from that.
Yeah.
But Cal Poly is on a 5-game losing streak, right? Oh, maybe more than 5. I don't know. But I know that for a fact they've lost 5 in a row, their last 5 in a row.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I have a hard time believing that Sac State can get it done, and they're the biggest frauds in the Big Sky Conference. So I'm going to call Cal Poly getting another Big Sky win right here.
You just cannot pick Sac State anymore. You have lost all trust in them whatsoever.
Well, I picked them once. They totally bent me over, and now I'm done with that. So I have such a hard time picking Cal Poly in any game. That's super fair,
They're
and I
hard
totally
team to pick.
understand where you're coming from. Cal Poly, they're bad.
But at the same time, it's like when it rains, it pours.
Right
now, it is a downfall of just less than mediocrity for Sac State.
We were in the stands for the Sac State game, Ben. It was bad.
It was pretty brutal.
That was a bad team. I know that they have looked better against other teams, but what we saw last week was just such an utter beatdown.
Yeah.
I feel like the team that we watch play, which I know they've been different previous weeks, I feel like Cal Poly could get them.
Oh, yeah. I think they have a serious chance in it, and I probably will go along with you and go with Cal Poly. Part of me can't believe that Sac State has fallen that far, but another part of me thinks that is how bad it is.
It is a downfall for Sac State. They are a very unhealthy team for the injury wise. I have no faith in them. You know, if they would have scored 14 points, maybe, but they scored 7 against our fourth team.
If they would have got one more touchdown, then it's like if they scored one more touchdown and totally redeemed themselves. You know?
Yeah. I don't know. Sac State is a dumpster fire, and I'm glad I'm not a fan of Sac State.
Yeah, that would be a tough life, being a Sac State fan. It's a good thing they have so few.
Yeah.
There's not many people that are hurting right now because I don't think Sac State has much of a fan base.
Honestly, it's such a good thing that they're doing so well in the Big Sky since they're transitioning to the FBS. It's really good.
Definitely. It's going to be really good for them. I'm sure things will fare way better for them in FBS football.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be easier.
Doesn't get harder from here. No.
Yeah. Next up, we have Weber State at Idaho, and let's not even waste our breath with this one.
Yeah, this definitely seems like an Idaho game. Idaho at home in the Kibbe Dome.
Yeah. Weber State's trash.
Oh, yeah.
Idaho wreck these dudes.
They should. And they've played close with teams when we weren't expecting them to, but also Weber State has not shown the prowess of like a Portland State from last week or anything like that.
Yeah.
I think Idaho will handle business, and they are trying to claw their way into the playoffs, would you say?
No, I think
pretty firmly in.
Branched. Yeah. I don't think they could miss the playoffs at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that there's an outsized chance that they could get one of the top 8.
Yeah.
First round bye.
So they would be that's really what they're fighting for in this situation.
Yeah, I guess I shouldn't say outside chance. I think they do have one.
Yeah.
Or, can get one fairly easy. They just have to handle business from here on.
Yeah, they cannot drop a game. Dropping a game would be pretty detrimental.
Dropping a game to Weber State, Grizzlies.
Embarrassing. It's embarrassing if you lose to Weber State.
Yeah. So I feel like that's a super safe pick. Super safe.
Definitely seems like it. Which brings us
to the Grizzlies. Okay, so I'm gonna give a little sneak peek here on my bets because if I make it to a place where I can place a bet,
thank you, Montana Sports Bet.
Yeah, you guys are absolute garbage. I am going to hammer Portland State minus 17.5. There is no way they lose by 18 points. No way.
I can't say no way. That is a very juicy line. I have a hard time saying there's no way that they don't lose by more than 17 points because the Grizz are going back-to-back at home. And they are not going to, after that embarrassment that they got last week, if they don't show up and have a huge game against Portland State, those fans are really going to turn on Bobby.
I'm not saying Montana's going to lose this game. I'm saying Portland State isn't going to lose by 18 points.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Portland State they are so frisky, man. I mean, they should have they got so screwed against UC Davis. They should have won that game. Now, if you take the Montana State game away, they were competitive in every game, and not just competitive, they pushed really hard every game that they lost. I feel like Portland State has a real shot to cover this spread.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm just looking at their last 5. They lost to Idaho by 9. They beat Sac State by 20. They lost. The Montana State game aside, they beat Idaho State by 6 or 4. Sorry, and then they lost to UC Davis by 1. These guys are scrubs. The Cats made them look like scrubs, and that's what every Cat fan is thinking of is the Portland State game where
that's the majority of what you're going to have watched from them for the most part. Yeah,
but I'm saying remove that game. They were competitive in every game, and there is no reason to think that the Grizzlies are any better than anybody else because they're not as good as Montana State. So I'm just saying there's no way that they lose by 18 points. 17 and a half is as juicy as it gets with Montana Sports Bet. And
they're helping us out a little bit. Maybe. I don't know.
I'm taking that bet.
Yeah. If it stays there, By the time, because we usually wait until the player props come out, which is on like Friday or Saturday. And is there player props up yet? Are you checking?
They have no
player props
Nope.
yet. So then they kind of bide their time.
I lied.
And then by the time the player props come through.
Oh, that's Cat Game. Cat Game has player props.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
know about the game.
That makes sense.
Oh my gosh, there's so many on the Cat side.
If
through
Montana
it.
Sportsbet isn't ready for people to be putting some bets in on what is the Big Sky Conference Championship, then they would be sorely mistaken. And they'd be missing out on a lot of money.
Okay, so there is all the player prop bets on Sportsbet for the Grizzlies right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't hate some of these.
Not super mad about it?
Fife, 145 plus pass yards. That's not bad.
No, not at all.
Either way, don't
Depending
really care.
on how much he plays in the game, which is like becoming more and more, we're not sure about that. Like
This one is Fife, 145 plus, Junior Bergen, 55 plus receiving.
Okay.
That's not terrible at plus 200.
No, not at all.
Either way, doesn't matter. I have such a hard time believing they can beat Portland State by 18 points.
Mm-hmm.
They really haven't beat anybody other than like Northern Colorado and Cal Poly. I think that's it by substantial margins. Everything else has been a loss or, somewhat within reason.
Mm-hmm. It's a solid argument, and I may be following you on that soon. Got to think it over a little bit more. I don't know why, but I think it's just that my brain is broken when it comes to the Grizzlies.
Yeah. Bottom line for this game, if they don't figure out how to run this quarterback situation
mm-hmm.
and how to shore up their defense just a little bit,
mm-hmm.
Portland State, this might be a trap game.
This is a trap game?
It might be.
You're pulling out the trap game on it?
I mean, if you don't figure out your two major issues that are causing you to lose 3 games so far,
they've had plenty opportunities to figure it out.
If you don't figure it out, this could be the spot where we know Portland State can be dangerous just because, I mean, we're talking about Chachere, who's been a 2-time Big Sky Player of the Week.
I don't even want to know what the rankings implications and playoff implications of Montana losing this game would be.
Well, let's just put it this way. It would be bad.
It'd be bad.
Real bad.
Mm-hmm. Real bad. And they would feel bad.
Yeah, they would feel really bad.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, bottom line, if they don't figure out their major issues,
running out of time.
Yeah.
Running out of time to put the pieces of the puzzle together.
This is the wrong time. This is the wrong team to try and figure things out on.
Mm-hmm.
Portland State isn't a scrub. They're way better than what their record says.
Yeah.
And if you take the Cat game out, they really have given a run to pretty much everybody.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, Portland State wins.
There we go. Portland State wins. Not even to beat the spread. You're picking them to win. You just snuck that in there. You lulled me to sleep. You were talking so long and ranting that you lulled me to sleep, and then you just pick them straight up. Talking about the spread for an hour, and then you're like, "Oh, I'm picking them straight up." This is wild. This is wild podcasting from Eric Lauver. I was not ready for this. I was not prepared. I'm caught off guard. I don't want to pick Montana. I'm not going to pick Montana. We're going Portland State. It's a sweep.
We talk this big game,
yeah,
and always pick the opposing team. Always.
Yeah. Well, it's like it's kind of like a sanctimonious thing. I just got to pick against them. I can't not. It's hard not to.
Well, should we get to what everyone wants to hear anyway?
Oh yeah, for sure. We might as well move it along.
UC Davis, Ben. Give me your snapshot right now. Your initial take.
UC Davis, my take right now, how I'm feeling about this team, this game, everything. After listening, like that, the Aggies podcast that we listened to was a great source for like how that fan base is feeling, how that team is feeling, and UC Davis reminds me a lot of the Bobcat teams from 4 or 5 years ago. They're up-and-coming teams. They're tasting some success for the first time in a long time. In UC Davis's perspective, I think it's the first time ever that they're tasting this kind of success. They have one Big Sky championship, and they got that to hang their hand on, and they definitely earned that. And that was a great team that they had that year. But this is the kind of team where they're proving themselves to be a part of that upper tier, but I don't think anybody in their right mind thinks they're on the level of the top 3 teams in the FCS this year.
Yeah.
They're not there yet. I'm not saying they're never going to be. I'm not saying that I'm not impressed by what this team has done this year. I just don't think that they have made it there yet.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I do think that UC Davis, there's a lot of pressure on these guys.
Mm-hmm.
A lot. They're highly touted. They're ranked high. They've never been in this, even in that 2018 team.
Yep.
They were never ranked this high.
Yeah.
So this is the biggest game in UC Davis history.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it means, I'm trying to find the right words here. Between these two teams, Montana State has been here before. UC Davis has not been here before.
Mm-hmm.
Is the pressure too much for UC Davis? Because the Cats, this isn't new to these guys. They know what this is like. They did not win the Big Sky Championship last year.
Nope.
I feel like they're a hungrier team.
Oh, there's something to be said. Every single championship team, if you look at NBA, NFL, any sport across the board, you usually have to take your lumps before you can get to the mountaintop. And you have to learn what it takes in order to get there and how much harder you actually have to work. Because when we were talking to Ty earlier this season, he brought it up how things got more business-like for the Cats this year. Yeah. How last year they had a lot of fun. They were enjoying things. There was a lot of celebrating going on. And this year it's down to business. And everybody's taking things very, very seriously. And you have to hit that other notch. And I'm not really saying that UC Davis isn't taking it seriously. I'm just saying that I don't think that they've learned that lesson yet.
I don't think so either. And, going back to that Aggie podcast, they said their schedule benefited them more than the Cats' schedule did.
Even though they played the same exact schedule.
Yes, exactly. And I feel like a signature win over the Grizzlies isn't as substantial as a signature win over an FBS team.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Grizzlies are way worse than New Mexico.
And we're also going to be playing against the Grizzlies.
Yeah.
It's part of the schedule. It hasn't happened yet, but when everything's balanced out at the end of the year and all the decisions are being made, we have played the exact same schedule as UC Davis almost.
Yeah. And getting into the nitty-gritty of UC Davis, I feel like you can call the running backs similar.
Mm-hmm.
I will always pick ours over theirs, but Lan Larson is a beast.
Which is crazy for you to say, for you to admit that it's almost even.
Yeah.
Like that that's given a lot of props to the other team because you haven't given anybody any credit all season. So.
No, I still won't. I will give Lan Larson credit. That dude is a beast.
That shows the respect, though.
My one take with the rushing game on either offense is that they have one guy. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
One single guy. We have 4.
Mm-hmm.
We have 4 different people that we could turn to in any circumstance that seems opportunistic for a specific guy.
Yeah.
they have one for every situation. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
We have an offensive line with one for sure NFL player and several potential NFL players.
Yeah.
They don't.
No.
We have a quarterback that can throw the ball. And I missed that part in my rant. The quarterback. Yeah. They said they wanted to put Tommy Malott into positions that he had to throw the ball. It's like, bring it on.
Mm-hmm.
Bring it on. Tommy is a great thrower that has probably the best group of pass catchers in the Big Sky Conference from top to bottom.
Yeah, hard to argue with them, especially when you widen it out to pass catchers. When we're not just talking about the wide receivers who are very talented, and you bring in the tight ends and bring back the pass catching from the running backs. He's got a lot of options, a lot more options than Miles Hastings.
If you want to play that game, make Tommy throw the ball, because I bet one of those guys is going to get open every play.
Yeah, I could definitely see it.
I just looking back through UC Davis's previous games, it does seem like they have people can throw the ball on UC Davis. Logan Fife did it pretty successfully. If it comes down to that, which I'm not 100% sure it will, I mean, it is strength on strength. Our offensive line, they supposedly have a very good defensive line. They like to play those, what was I reading? They like that 3 inside and then 2 edges. So I feel like it's going to create opportunity for Tommy to use his arm.
Yeah. But I don't think that they are going to want to make that their game plan, because we've seen the way things go when other teams stack the box. UC Davis is a very talented team, and this is by no means stress-free for me or for you, I'm sure. Like, this is a team that we take very seriously, and they have done very well this season. But when it comes down to it and we just put the player-to-player comparisons up there, I don't feel like it balances out. Miles Hastings is a great passer.
Yeah.
But he is not as efficient as Tommy, and he is definitely not as good a runner as Tommy.
No.
He does not have the same IQ yet, they're a team that's not there yet,
Their offense just can't be as dynamic as Montana State's because their quarterback doesn't run the ball.
Yeah.
I know that UC Davis is a talented team. I just don't see how you stifle Tommy Malott.
I see the majority of the strength from UC Davis on their offensive side. And maybe that's because I'm more of somebody who pays attention to the offensive side of the ball, but I see a majority of the strength on the team on offense. And the Cats are pretty even both ways, but I would give the edge to the Cats offense. So I believe that the Cats offense is going to be able to do a lot of things against UC Davis. I think they're going to be able to choose where they want to go with the ball. I don't think UC Davis is going to force them into anything.
I don't feel like that. I completely agree with you. I don't feel like we're going to be forced any specific route, especially because I feel like this offense is comfortable going whichever direction. I mean, of course, they like to run the ball. It's the bread and butter. It seems to come easy to do them.
And you can't name a single great team that couldn't run the ball, at least somewhat. There's no great teams out there that didn't have that backbone of when you need to get 3 yards, you can get 3 yards.
Yeah.
It's kind of what football is.
I really think this is one of those games where the Cats figure out how to slow this game down. Because where I feel like UC Davis gets dangerous is when it's going quick.
Yeah.
And they are going fast. I feel like Miles Hastings is, and this is in their home court here. So it's not going to be loud. We're probably not going to get those false start penalties or any of that kind of stuff.
We may even have more fans there.
We might.
Potentially will. When your own fan podcast has to talk about how the students are not showing up to the games, you may have a problem.
Yeah. I feel like if the Cats control the clock and just do what they do, this should be a win.
Mm-hmm.
If you let UC Davis keep our defense on the field and wear those guys down, that could be an issue.
Mm-hmm.
But I just have a hard time believing that that's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm just overall my attitude for this game is excited.
Yes.
Excited to see how this thing plays out. Excited for this Bobcat team to live up to the potential that we've been living up to the standard that we've been holding them to and like putting them up to all season. We've been lifting them up on a pedestal, and we have not been able to make the pedestal high enough because every single game they proved that they belong there.
This is a Bobcat team that is searching for its signature win.
Mm-hmm.
The one that really puts a stamp on their schedule.
Mm-hmm.
This is it. This is a top 4 matchup. This is the one that propels them up and actually might get them some respect.
Mm-hmm. We'll see what happens. We'll see what I still feel like people are going to find something to poke a hole in, but at the same time, hopefully the respect starts coming here. And also, kind of like devil's advocate, hopefully the respect doesn't come.
Yeah.
Hopefully they keep doubting him. Hopefully the Cats stay the underdog all the way into the playoffs. That would be fine with me.
Yeah, I'm sure the narrative after this game will be, well, UC Davis was a bunch of pretenders, so.
Yeah, and that's not fair. That is not fair to this UC Davis team. Because they've played some really close games throughout this season, and they've had some real close calls, but they won those games.
Yeah.
You know, when push comes to shove, they did win those games.
Yep, that's
except for maybe Portland State. Sorry.
This is the signature win going into can you imagine how a team feels going into Cat Grizz after a top 4 win the week before?
It does change. It's got to make you feel good. Also, at the same time, it's going to make the Bobcats feel the same, like we've talked about. They're still 1-0 every week.
1-0.
1-0.
1-0.
And usually for most teams, it's kind of a mantra that doesn't mean a whole lot. With the Cats, it feels real.
Yeah.
It does feel real, and I'm like, I would never have seen a team buy in like that.
Yeah, I mean, this team is in a great place.
Mm-hmm.
Going up against a UC Davis team that has done exactly what they were supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the Bobcats' chance to shut some people up. And I really need them to do that because I am so sick of this crap.
Yep. It has been really tough. It's been it's been a real long season. It's been the longest 10-0 season of all time.
Yeah.
Where it's like, usually we've got some things to talk about and there's setbacks and everything. And this year there hasn't really been any. So it's just impressive and it's fun to watch. And at the same time, that's why I'm so excited for a game like this weekend.
Let's make history, Bobcats.
Let's
go.
History.
Let's go.
Let's go.
11-0, baby. Let's get it done.
11-0. Just 1-0. Get it done.
Yeah.
1-0, Bobcats. Get it done. Yeah.
But actually 11-0.
I mean, you can tack another 1 next to that 1 if you really feel like it.
Yeah. You're at an 11-0.
Yeah. Yeah. I was thinking going from 1-0 to 11-0, but that works.
Well, yeah. I like 111 more than 11 anyway. So.
We'll see. That may be in the future. We haven't seen them lose yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anything else you wanted to bring up before we head into this game?
No, man. I cannot wait for this game. I can't wait to watch this game.
Mm-hmm.
I do have two questions for you.
2 questions.
Non-football related.
Mm-hmm.
Who wins? Mike Tyson, Jake Paul?
Mike Tyson. all the way.
Let's go.
Cannot pick Jake Paul.
John Jones, Stipe Miocic.
I got to go John Jones. Got to go with the guy who's going 1-0 in this fight and hasn't lost yet.
We're united on it.
United on it. That's good. That's good to hear. You know?
That's all I got, Ben. That's all I got.
Okay. All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Make sure you go ahead and follow us wherever you're listening to this at. Rate us 5 stars also in that same location. We would really appreciate that. Follow us on Instagram or X at CatsPod. Go ahead and check us out on YouTube at The CatsPod. Oh, I never showed him the sign. One second.
Yeah. Get the sign up.
So as the studio is slowly coming into form, and I'm probably going to have to actually build a studio at some point instead of just being in a guest bedroom, we got the new flag, we got the jersey, and eventually when I find somewhere to hang this up, we'll have the Cat's Pod sign. So
let's go.
There we go.
Let's go. Also,
from the creepy uncle's basement, to now.
If anybody has any questions, leave it on any platform. We're good with any. Hit us with your questions. We will answer them.
Mm-hmm. Leave us a comment wherever. Drop a question in a DM if you want to. Also fine with us. We will respond, and we'll be ready for you guys this weekend after an amazing game against UC Davis.
Let's go, Cats.